Oh, hello everyone. My name is Jay Paul Apozo. So, for today's video, me and my colleagues are going to discuss about the lens. So, let's start. So, what is lens? Lens is a molded piece of transparent material. It's either plastic or glass. Then, napo na siya a series of tiny refracted prisms. Pag once ang light rays mo sulod siya ana, passes through it, uh, mo ano siya, mo refract or kumbaga ba ricochet na namang banda. So, ang result ana is maka-form siya og ah, powerful powerful image nga mas clear o mas sharper siya. So, ang first camera lens kay na buhat ni Charles Chevalier, usa ka French opticians in early 19th century. So, ang lens kani siya distinction. Ah, ang ang isa is simple or ug ang isa is compound. So, unsa man ni simple lens? So, ang simple lens, it is a device that uses only a single lens to refract light to form a image. So, ang kining simple lens is uh, gamit lang siya isa ka lens para i-magnify ang usa ka object para mo zoom. O, na ba? So, ang example na is magnifying glass. Di ba ang magnifying glass, gamit lang siya isa ka lens. Then, pag imo na siya itutok sa usa ka uh, im, uh, object, mo zoom siya or mo dako. So, may na example ang simple lens. Then, ang isa is compound lens. Ang compound lens kay nagamit siya og multiple lenses. So, which means sa multiple lens is daghan nga lens para ma-increase ang pananaw sa isa ka user o makita tong mga ang object nga dili na to makita sa atong mga naked eye. So, pareha ang example ana sa compound lens is microscope o sniper scope. Sa microscope, kung gusto nimo makita ang mga pinakagamay nga mga organisms na gusto nimo makita, gamit ka ani. So, ang microscope nagamit na siya og mga multiple lenses para makita na totoong mga bacterias or organisms. Then, sa sniper scope is, di ba, nakahigibutang target niya, ang kalayaan niya is 500 to 800 meters, something inana. Di ba, ang nana nga meters nga, ilang katas ang meters, di ba, di naman kaya siya makita sa itong mga mata. So, inana, ang gamiton ni mo ana kay sniper scope para makita nato tong target para maikonto nato siya. Mo na siya. So, natay mga types of lenses. So, sa types of lenses, natay ginatawag nga converging, convex, or positive lens. Then, ang isa kay diverging or concave lens or negative lens. Unsa man ang converging lens? So, sa converging lens, kini nga lens kay ang iyahang tunga is baga. Then, sa edges niya or sa kilid is nipis. So, once ang isa ka light rays mosulod siya ani, pag mag-bend na siya, ang ma-form niya nga image is mo magnify or mo zoom. Inana ang gamit sa converging lens. Pag isite na to ang isa ka object na gusto nimo i-focus or magnify, mo zoom siya. So inana ang purpose sa converging lens or convex lens. Next, we have the concave lens or negative lens. Sa negative lens kay ang lens niya kay ang sa tunga sa lens is nipis ang sa tunga niya. Then ang yang mga edges or sa kilid, ang mga kilid niya is dagko. Then pag once ang light rays mosulod aning lenses, ang vision or pananaw nato ani pag i-focus nato sa usa ka subject, image or object is gamay. Isa kung saan nato siya zoom in zoom in, gamay jud siya. Inana ang sample sa diverging or concave lenses.
Good day, ma'am, and good day, everyone, to my classmates. So I'm Jovan G. Dino, and I will be reporting the parts of the lens. So first is filter thread. So filter thread is nang siya na nakabutang siya sa pinaka tumoy ng front sa lens, so which can serve as or enhance the image quality of a image. Nag-enhance siya sa mga na-captured na image. So, and also nag-serve sa shock protection for the lens. So if ever na matagak or masagi ang inyong camera, dili siya mabuak or dili siya magasgas kaya na siya filter thread na nakabutang sa pinaka-front niya. So, next is drop-in filter. So kanina siya na filter, lahi siya sa filter thread kay kanang drop-in filter kay locating siya behind the lens of the camera. Na siya kanang sariling specialized filter holder na siya sarili niyang holder para makaano mo siya kanang easily inserted or removed. Pwede mo siya butang kung gusto ka ng filter, or pwede mo siya tanggal nun if dili ka gusto o kanang unique imong, kung gusto ka unique ang imong pag-capture siya sa object. So next is rear filter. So kay rear filter is kanang rare lang siya nimo makita sa isang camera kay bantog gitawag siya na rear filter kay kani siya ginagamit niya sa mga photographers if ever ang ilang camera ang ubang filter kay dili compatible sa ilang camera. So kaning rear filter lang ginagamit kay kanang compatible siya if dili compatible ang line filter. So kaning rear filter kay is kanang naga-use siya extreme wide angle, and mao po ni ang ginagamit sa pag-capture sa like fish eye. Yes, fish eye. So let's move on to next topic. So lens hood. Kanang lingin ni siya, kaya na siya sa pinaka front sa isa ka camera na kanang lens hood kay mo ni siyang naga-serve as naga-block siya sa stray light from focusing flare photographs or image. Kanang kung mag-capture mo isa ka object tapos na sinagan sa hayag ang inyong lens, so na possibility na stray light na mapilog captured. So gamit ang lens hood ginablock niya ang mga stray light So if ever na magamit if ever na mag-capture kang isa ka object tapos ang imong camera is high-end mga mga DSLR, nani siya yung lens or ever nani siya lens hood sa pinaka front niya or depende lang sa camera na naga-block sa stray light para dili maguba or masira ang pag-capture niyo sa isang object na wala mga stray na mga object or lain na object or mga light na makaguba sa mga pag-capture sa isang object. So next will be focusing ring. So a focusing ring kay mo ni siya ang adjustment sa pag-focus nimo sa isa ka object sa camera. So the focus point from close-up subject to distant subject. So if ever na close imong object or distance layo ang isa ka object na imong gusto i-capture, so para ma-focus siya by adjustment of focusing ring or rotating it, pwede mo siya ma-close. If ever close up or distance, pwede mo siya ma-focus kana lang dyan na single na object ang captured or naka-focus ang dyan ang camera sa isa ka object, like crayons. So if ever like imong mata like sa akong mata magtan-aw lang ka diri sa kanina object, ma-focus ang imong mata sa isa ka diri alang yun. So like sa camera if i-focus nimo siya sa isa ka object, dira lang jud siya mag-focus. So next is manual and auto focus lens. So kani siya is wala siyang kanang ang kanang naga adjustment pod sa focus. So first is a manual focus mode. So if mag manual focus mode ka, manually nimo i-rotate or i-adjust ang focusing ring. So para makuha jud nimo ang gusto na focus sa isa ka object. So if ever na mag autofocus ka, ang camera mismo ang mag-focus sa isa ka object, dili na nimo siya kailangan i-rotate ang focusing ring kay ang camera itself jud ang mismo automatic mag-focus sa isa ka object if mag auto focus mode. So using a autofocus with manual, so kani kay ang imong mode ani kay naka autofocus mode siya, but pwede nimo siya i-manually adjustment basking naka autofocus mode siya. Para jud kanang if dili ka satisfy sa manual nimo na pag-focus or pag-autofocus nimo, pwede nimo siya i-autofocus mode or i-manually, and with while manually adjust. So para makuha jud nimo ang gusto na adjustment and perfect na captured with the object. So natay different kinds of focusing. We have internal and external focusing. So kaning internal focusing kay if ever na mag-adjust ka sa focusing ring, if ever lang na mag-adjust ka sa focus mode, there are two different. So in the internal focusing kay only the lens will be moved if mag-adjust ka. Sa external naman kay the whole barrel will be moved. The whole barrel will be moved if mag-adjust ka sa focusing. So mo lang kalahian sila. So next is distance indicator. So kaning distance indicator kay naga-help siya sa mga photographers na ma-estimate ang isa ka object, kung sa siya kalayo or unsa siya kaduol. Naani siya sa kanang camera, kanang na mga indicator dala na kung saan siya kalayo o basta siya kaduol. So nag-help niya siya sa mga photographers para matansya nila or ma-estimate nila kung tama ba ni na kalayo, tama ba ni na kalayo sa object, or dapat i-adjust pa nimo para tama-tama lang ang kanang kalayo o tama-tama lang ang kaduol para makuha dyan nimo ang perfect angle na imo gusto or ang perfect shot na imo gusto. So gamit ang distance indicator kay yun, ma-help ang mga photographers na ma-estimate kung saan nakalayo ang isa ka object or isa ka daw. So next and lastly is lens specification marking. So kani siya kay kaning mga specification marking sa lens kay mo ni siya mga mga various markings, symbols and labels that provide information to the photographers, like kana specification sa camera, kana capabilities niya o settings kanang kaya specification markings niya naga-indicate ni sa isa ka camera kung unsay kaya sa isa ka camera, unsay pwede buhaton, unsaon siya paggana, unsaon siya paggamit. Money ang important sa lens specification markings kay nag-help siya sa photographers para makabalo sila if kaya ba nila ang isa ka butang, kaya ba nila yung usa ka layo ang object, kaya ba ni ma-captured or asa ra ni tama ni na camera or unsa ra kaya ni buhaton na camera.
Good day, ma'am. So today I am going to continue the topic of Mr. Dino, which is part of the lens. So number 6 is distance indicator. A camera lens is a valuable tool for photographers to control and fine-tune focus, depth of field, and creative effects in their images. So, kasagaran ani is ginagamit siya sa film or analog. pwede ra pud ni siya ma-adjust labaw naggagamit ka og manual focus or gusto kag mas focus bisan pag na siya sa layo. Number 7 is depth of field indicators. On a camera lenses are practical tools that can help photographers controls and visualize the range of their images. Makatabang ni siya sa mga photographers para mas good og nice ang quality sa ilang ginatake na images. Number 8 is aperture ring. It's all about controlling light and depth of field in their images. It controls the size of the opening through which lights enter the lens. So, it can be rotated para pataason or bawasan ang aperture. So, lastly is zoom ring. Zoom ring is it allows to change the lens focal and as a result alter the magnification of the subject that capturing. So, mao ni siya ang mas ginapadali nga tool para sa pagbuo sa mga images nga nakuha sa mga nakuha sa maduol or mas layo nga dili ginagunitan ang kamera sa mga gipang take na pictures. So that's all.
So today we're going to tackle about the different characteristics of the camera lens, and as per basing on the book, we only have 4 characteristics of the camera lens, but we all know that there's lots of there that depicts the characteristics of the camera lens. And the number 1 is we have the focal length. The focal length of the lens is the determination of the range between the image sensor or the focal point to the center of the given lens. So once we photograph a certain subject, actually the result of that inside the lens, it depicts the upside down version of the subject. And the focal point is actually located inside the camera. That is why we cannot see the focal point when we do not open up exactly the camera. And we also have this, what we call the point wherein there is an intersection of light during the capturation of the subject, which we call the nodal point. And then the distance between the focal point and the nodal point is what we call the focal length. And the focal length also depicts how much of the subject is going to be captured. How wide of the subject is going to be captured. That is how you depict a focal length. And number 2, we also have the aperture. So the aperture in photography is the opening of the camera lens, which is related to the amount of light that is coming in and out of the camera lens to the image sensor. And we can also relate aperture to the eye of a person, because our eyes also reacts to light. It grows bigger and it goes smaller, especially how much light is coming in and out of our eyes. And also, the bigger the aperture, the more light it attracts, and then the smaller the aperture, the darker the image. It's just the brighter, the dimmer, and the lighter one. So the third one is the depth of field, and the depth of field refers of how much of the scene is in focus once correct lens focusing has been achieved. And this is determined by 2 things, the aperture and the focal length of the lens. And the depth of field predetermined the 2 of them, which is the aperture and the focal length. That is why depth of field is actually have 2 statuses, which is the shallow depth of field and the deep depth of field. The shallow depth of field, makita lang na nato siya if the subject is only on focus. Once you pictured out a subject, and then the final output of it kay kanang blur ang nasa likod, blur ang nasa atubangan, and ang nakafocus lang jud is ang subject itself. So that is how you depict a shallow depth of field. And we also have this deep depth of field, especially ka ng mga high standards na ng mga cameras, dagko na sa nagyahang mga quality, mauna tanan na kanang scene sa subject is actually clearer, and walay naka blur, and everything is on focus. That is how you depict a deep depth of field. And lastly, we have is the image stabilization. So the image stabilization is one of the feature na you can choose when you feature kanang nasaya sa kaning choices dito sa camera, which is the image stabilization. So the image stabilization is the glass elements in the lens that are controlled by a motor, which notices tiny shifts in camera movement and keeps things steady in the viewfinder or rear LCD. Image stabilization can only be depicted right after you can see na murag kurog kaayo ang imuhang pag-capture, and the image stabilization is not that clearer. And also we have nakaron mga tripods that is used for image stabilization kanang para ma-modify siya, and dili na siya medyo lihok. It also shifts the high it shifts the is it higher or lower ang iyahang kanang ang makuha nimo nga subject, kanang ginataas niya ang camera mo or ginababasa niya ang camera. Also na ang one feature sa tripod. And the image stabilization also, instead of the lens stabilizing the image, this can make lenses smaller and lighter. So that is the 4 characteristics of the camera lens.
Good morning, everyone. My name is April Tanshato, and now let's proceed to the next part of the topic, which is the main types of camera lenses. So there are 2 types of camera lenses, which is the zoom lenses and prime lenses. So now let's start with the zoom lenses. So what this zoom lens is all about? So a zoom lens is a lens allowing a camera to change smoothly from a long shot to a close-up, or vice versa, varying the focal length. So if we say zoom lenses, this is a kind of lens in a camera which is you can capture an object or a subject without changing your position or without changing your camera lenses. So by using this zoom lenses, you can automatically zoom in or zoom out by adjusting the zoom ring of your camera. Now you can easily adjust the focal length of your desired object to be captured to move closely. So without changing your position or without changing your position, right, to have a different angle or views. So that's a zoom lenses. So a zoom lenses can be used at various focal lengths and are also called variable focal lengths. So here you can, like what I've said earlier, you can zoom in or zoom out without changing your position just by turning the zoom ring. By adjusting the zoom ring in the camera, you can move optical elements inside the lens to achieve a different angles or views. That's zoom lenses. So the minimum zoom range of these zoom lenses is 70 to 200 mm. Now let's proceed to the second camera lenses, which is the prime lenses. So what is prime lenses? So these are camera lenses that have a single focal length. And so prime lenses is also known as fixed focal length lenses. So why is that? It's because here in prime lenses, the focal length is already fixed, which means the lens has a set angle of view that cannot be changed. So ang lens diri sa prime lens is kay nakaset na siya ba, diba? In compared to zoom lenses in which you can adjust ang iyahang focal length. But here in prime lenses is ang iyahang lens or iyang focal length is naka-fix na jud. So you cannot change that. So the only way of enlarging your subject and making it feel it more large or ma-zoom in or zoom out nimo siya is by physically move towards your subject or object. So in other words, you have to move closer or farther away from your subject to have a different views or angles using this prime lens. So do you see the difference? In zoom lenses, you don't have to move farther or closer towards your subject that you desire to capture, because just by adjusting the focal the zoom ring of the camera, you can automatically adjust the view or angle or distance nimo between your capture nimo na object. But here in prime lenses is you cannot change, you cannot adjust the length or focal length, because that's why it is fixed. Naka-fix naman siya. So by moving closer or farther sa imong object, you have to physically move. Kailangan nimo muduol para makapture nimo siya nga duol or layo. Examples of aning focal length niya kay kaning i50 mm prime 35 85. So that's it. Naka-attach na jud na siya sa camera, in which you cannot change the lenses or focal length, kay naka-attach na siya permanently sa camera. So that's why it is called fixed focal length. So when using the lens, the view or perspective only changes if the distance between the camera lens and the subject changes. Now let's compare these two lenses, the prime lenses versus zoom lenses. So which do you think of you is more favorable na ginagamit sa mga photographers or mismo ikaw? So according to what I have searched online, photographers are often or mostly use these prime lenses. So why is that? Why they more favors sa prime lenses? Because according to them, in prime lenses, you get more feature, no, na in which makaless ka og money, makaless ka sa gasto ba. So here you get such wide maximum angles, the aperture is good, and the robust build quality and the compact designs. Also, they said that the image quality using prime lens is gwapo siya kaning image quality compared to zoom lens. So in prime lenses daw is it more produce an image that are far sharper, mas tinaw siya ba, and that look much better. And also prime lens are small and lightweight, in which madala-dala lang nimo siya, lightweight lang, madala nimo siya bisag asa, no, compared to zoom lens. Kay dako man jud ang zoom lens, di ba? So that's it, that's the advantage of the prime lens. But also some photographers nowadays are still using these zoom lenses, because zoom lenses also have is advantage mode, which is here in zoom lens you can it allows you to change focal length, diba, without changing your lens or your position, diba, kung nasa layo ang imuhang subject, without changing or moving further or closer to that subject, you can capture that by changing or adjusting your zoom ring. And also they said that zoom lens rather is more kaning versatile side. So that's the advantage of prime lenses and zoom lenses. So that's their difference, no? So that's all, everyone. I hope you learned something about the main two types of camera lenses that I have discussed, which is the prime lenses and zoom lenses.
Hi everyone, now I am going to report about the categories of prime lenses. First is wide-angle lenses. Wide-angle lenses cover a wider area than the normal viewing range of the human eye. So, kita kay ang atong mata kay dira na siya makita. Nang makita ang atong mata kay naara sa gilid makita nato kung di nato paliw ang viewing range sa atong eye. Kaning wide angle lenses kay naa siya capacity nga makita behind or lampas pa sa makita sa atong eye. For example, kani di nato makita dire sa pikel. So kaning wide angle lenses kay na siya capacity nga makita gyapon niya bisan di na makita sa atong normal viewing range sa atong eye. So next is the standard lenses. Standard lenses or normal lens would be roughly in the 45 mm to 65 mm to 60 mm focal length range. So, and standard lenses kanang normal lang siya kanang normal lens gyapon siya. Next is telephoto lenses. Telephoto lenses have a narrow field of view and magnify the scene for a closer view. Kaning telephoto lenses is kung dahil layo imong photo na capture, so kay ingon man diri naa siya magnify the scene. To magnify the scene, meaning si magnify naa siya pwede na nimo siya padak-on in order for you to have a clear view of a photo or a picture para mas makita jud nimo unsay ang porma bisag layo siya mao nang telephoto lenses. So next is the macro lenses. Macro lenses are used for very close-up photography. A macro lens is smaller, minimum focusing distance than a normal camera lens. So haning macro lenses kay ginagamit ni siya for example sa mga insects kanang gamay gani kayong mga butang kaning macro lenses na siya kanang kung tayo gusto nimo makita unsay porma sa mata sa mga insects kay kung kita mismo atong eye di man nato siya makita unsay porma jud niya kani siya kung gamiton nimo ni siya sa imong camera is makita nimo unsay porma sa mata sa insects nang dili makita sa atong eye.
So now we proceed to specialty lens. So if we say this specialty lens, mo ni sila tong mga lens na ginabuhat na sa kanya-kanyang purpose. So tulo ka klase na specialty lenses. First is fisheye lens, second is tilt shift lens, and the last is infrared lens. So now we start now number 1, which is the fisheye lens. So it is an ultra wide angle lens that can take in a full 180-degree radius around it. So sa makita nimo sa slide na kanang picture mo na tong natawag na mo na ang picture sa fisheye lens, which maka-cover siya kaning around 180 degree ba kaning ma-wide ang focus sa isa ka lens ba mo ning tabang sa fisheye lens. Kaning if naatay ginatawag na kaning 360 degree kana makakuan sa tanan kani half ni siya to, so tawag siya 180. Kung mo tanan mo kung anong fisheye lens ang tawag siya kani pare sa isda, di ba kaning na ang isda na kuan kaning kaya niya makita ang within side niya na siya vision, so matog na tawag siya fisheye lens. So the second is tilt shift lens. So this is a reserve perspective, making things look smaller than they are, almost as if they're a toy. So pakita nimo kaning nasa slide na mo nang isa sa example sa or na capture sa isa ka kanina lens. So ipakita nimo diya sa sa slide, itutukan nimo siya, di ba, ang isa ka object nimo na capture, di ba, mugamay man siya, mugamay mao na ang murag result sa kanina lens. Murag maka-focus siya sa isa ka bugay niya ning mo ginahim murag kaning maka-create siya mga unique image ba kaning maka-create siya kaning gagmay na mga illusion para mag-create sa ingana na lens. Mo na siya is also kaning telescope lens kaning nagaka-capture lang siya within the ning taas na range ba kaning murag ka-focus siya sa isa ka bagay na which is pag taga-capture niya mapagamay niya ang isa ka object. So last is infrared lens. This lens play with light rather than perspective, filtering out all light waves. Expect infrared for unique visual effect. So mas makita nimo sa slide na pod ning kanang mo na siya ang lens na mga different lens which is na mga filter. So sa pikas kanang mo na ang ning sa picture na nadia which is the nature mga puno. Ingana ng color niya paggamitan na nimo siya infrared lens. Mag-ingana ang iyang kaning result niya. So if makita nimo diya kaning if normal ang simuha ning kaning if normal simuha kaning ang color dito na puno which is kaning green or kanang murag night color ba kaning brown ngana ang clouds kay ang langit kay kaning murag blue ngana. Pero by the use of infrared lens murag nagakita siya kanang dili visible sa human eye ba, dili visible na human eye. Murag parehane which is kaning nasa puno. Ay also naga-result po din siya kaning mga if ma-picturize po nimo ning usa nila init ba diya, nabayhat, bugnaw, mga anak. So makita nimo sa picture, na example diya, ni color siya red. So ibig sabihin na ni diri sining kanina puno na nagamitan og infrared lens na picturean diya na which is kaning diri na lugar kay init ni siya diya di ay init. So naga-focus siya sa mga or nagapakita siya mga mga lalom na kuan na dili visible na human eye. So atag og lang example ani kaning nata sa kuan sa crime scene. Then ang kasagaran ni ngani kaning mga untay kaning t-shirt kaning singit kita sa t-shirt. If normal lang nimo siya tan-awon kaning murag wala siya murag lang siya wala. Pero kasagaran ni ginagamitan siya infrared lens para if picturean nimong isa ka object murag nakita siya dili visible na human eye ba kanide pag t-shirt picturean nimo siya. Then pag picture nimo makita din nimo diri na di mga stain mga dugo ba. Mo nang kasagaran ginagamit po niya sa investigation kaning infrared lens para ma-figure out nimo tong mga bagay na dili day visible sa human eye kan dili makita sa normal ba na kuan kaning hindi normal makita sa tong mata ba. Mata ka balo na di dugo ngana. Mo na kasagaran ginagamit sa kaning example sa infrared lens.
Good morning. I am Luciano Narbana and I will be reporting about lens aberration. So first, what is lens aberration? Aberration is an imperfection in the way a lens focuses the light it captures. Aberrations occur because the rays of light passing through a lens fail to converge at a single point. So basically, what an aberration is when you take pictures, the lens that you use to capture an image or a subject will not be able to focus the light it's trying to capture, which will cause deviation or distortion in the image or the subject that you are trying to take a picture of or to record. So there are two types of lens aberration. First is the chromatic aberration. So chromatic aberrations are the resultant imperfection when a lens cannot focus on various wavelengths of color at the same point. So basically, chromatic aberration is an example of aberration or distortion in a photo, but it consists of multiple colors. So there are two types of chromatic aberrations. First is the longitudinal chromatic aberration, or the LOCA, or bokeh fringing. So this occurs when different wavelengths of color do not converge at the same point after passing through a lens, leading to color fringing around subjects throughout the entire image, from the center to the edges. So basically, this longitudinal chromatic aberration is when light hits the lens and passes through a lens, but when light passes through a lens, it does not converge at the same point on the other side, but instead it spreads out, which leads to multiple rays of light to be scattered or spread out improperly. Next is lateral chromatic aberration. So transverse chromatic aberration occurs when, due to the angle of light entering the lens, different wavelengths of color focus on the same plane but at different positions. So uh, lateral chromatic aberrations is when light uh, converges at the same plane of the lens, but at different positions. Like for example, this is the example of light, and this is the lens. So light converges at the same point in the lens, but there are different positions like here, here, and here. So they converge at the same plane of the lens, but at different positions. And we also have monochromatic aberrations. So monochromatic aberration is from the prefix it has, which is mono, which means one. So it talks about the aberrations in a photo, or when you trying to capture a photo where uh, there's a distortion or a deviation of the subject photo that only consists of one color, or like the combination of the natural colors, which are black and white.
So yo guys, my name is Jan Michael Aranillo, and today I'm going to tackle about the subtypes of aberration, monochromatic aberration. So first is the astigmatism. So astigmatism is the inability of the lens to focus both horizontal and vertical lines simultaneously sharp. So what do we mean by that? So ang meaning niya is dili siya makaroon focus from one spot lang kay nakabutang man diri nga horizontal and vertical, so dili siya ka focus from one spot lang. So meaning na nakarandom na ang igo sa light pagsulod sa lens, so mukalat siya. Then pagkalatanan niyo, makita ninyo sa atong sample nga original na view, pag wala kay astigmatism is naka-circle lang siya. Then ang sa second picture is makita ninyo dira sa example nga nagkalat-kalat ng iyang ang light sa pag-igo niya sa lens. So inana ang mahitabo kung natang astigmatism. Then second is spherical aberration. So spherical aberration cause light to converge at different places on the sensor. The lens will refract light that enters near the edge more than the light that enters near the center. So meaning, ang light na maigo sa edges sa lens is mas more na i-refract siya sa spherical aberration. Meaning, mas kusog ang refraction niya sa edges kaysa sa middle na light na maigo. So, bantog na sa example is, ang light niya nasa middle is wala kaabot siya sa center point sa or sino tawag ang basta mo na siya wala siya naigo sa center point. Then last is the chromatic aberration. So this occurs when a single point of light enters a lens at the angle at its edge rather than straight on at the center of the lens. So unsa meaning ana niya, tanan nga mga light na moigo sa edge, gina-absorb niya moigo siya sa isang punta spot. Like for example, sa baba no agi ang light. So meaning ana, pag moigo na siya sa lens is kanang vertical siya, vertical lang gyapon, murag naka-straight lang gyapon to siya, hanggang siya naka-straight lang gyapon siya sa position kung asa naigo ang light. So unsa ka nahiuan sa spherical aberration ug sa chromatic aberration. So, ang chromatic aberration, ay spherical aberration is wala siya pattern. Pag moigo ang light, ay pag makuha siya light sa edges is moigo siya sa center point. pag sa edges sa spherical aberration is moigo sa center point. Pero ang middle part sa spherical aberration is dili maabot sa center point, so wala siya pattern. Then ang chromatic aberration is makuha siya gihapon og unsa pareha lang gyapon sa spherical nga maunsa sila sa makuha sila light sa edge. Pero ang kalahian nila is naay pattern sa chromatic aberration. Kung muigo na siya sa lens is pareha lang gyapon sila og unsa pareha nagka-pattern lang gyapon ng mga light na muigo sa unsa sa lens, meaning sa isa lang same spot lang sila mo igo. Kaya sa spherical aberration is dito siya mo ang middle part niya kay dili man mo igo sa same spot kay mas hinay man og unsang light niya.
So, good afternoon guys. So, this is my report, the field curvature, also known as pixel field curvature, and instead of forming a flat and even image, field curvature cause the focal plane to be curved like the surface in sphere. This curvature result in some parts of the image being on focus while other parts are out in focus, even when lens is correctly focused on a central subject. So, mao ni guys, example guys, kung tayo mag-picture ka sa pathway sa garden, di ba, usahay ma-blurred ang mga isa ka ilid niya, ang pag ma-blurred na gani ang diha na ma-apply ang stegaminism parehaan ng portrait sa cellphone ba, di ba, kung i-focus na to sa isa ka tao, dito lang jud siya mag-focus, tapos ang mga kilid-kilid niya kay blurred, mauna na guys. So guys, the next distortion occurring when the lens project when the scenes across a sensor frame plane, the image fails to retain in verticality distortion, which can happen vertically or horizontally, is most noticeable when trying to capture straight lines. Bending and curving lines make the scenes look unrealistic. So, ano siya guys? So, ang barrel distortion guys is when the captured scenes look similar at the edge of the image than the center. So, ang barrel distortion daw kay murag kinapadako niya ang image na murag nagpa-curve jud ang image. Ang pincushion distortion guys is when the scenes at that edge of frame look bigger than the center. So, ano siya guys? Ang pincushion distortion na murag nagpagamay sa image. Example, if mag-capture ka pic, diba? Straight naman din na siya ang barrel. Ang kay murag ang curve, murag padako mag-image, tapos ang pincushion kabaliktaran na sa barrel, daga gamay ang image.
Good day everyone, I am Kimberly Mel M. Idel and I'm assigned to report the other lens defects. Number 1, flare. Flare when a lens directed a strong light source like the sun. Unneeded rays of light reflected from the lens surface and the camera mirror's frame have a blanketing effect on the lens. There are 2 types of flare. First is mechanical flare. Occurs when a light reflected from some bright spot within a lens mounting or faulty lens shade. So, ang mechanical flare kay nag-refer siya sa artifacts or visual disturbances in optical system caused by physical obstruction such as dust, scratch, and other filter or other optical elements. This obstruction can scatter or diffract light, leading to unwanted visual effects in photographs or image. Ang ikaduha kay optical flare. Optical flare occurs when light reflected as a strikes individual lens surface. So, ang optical flare is a creative photographic technique intentionally used by photographers or cinematographers. It occurs when bright light sources such as the sun or artificial lights enter the camera lenses and create streaks or strikes. Number 2, ghosts. Ghost is commonly regarded as a type of flare. The phenomenon known as ghosting occurs when light repeatedly reflects off the surface of the lens is seen in the image. Reflection occurring in front and behind the lens aperture give the ghost the same shape as the aperture. So, ang ghost guys is commonly regarded as a type of flare. So, this is when the light reflects surface. Nagabalik-balik siya ba? Kanang kumbaga, kuan siya, magpicture ka sa light pod kani, magpicture ka na atubangan ang imong gipicturean kay atubangan sa light, tapos makita man jud na ang kanang kumbaga imong anino, mao nang nagano sa mao na siya ang mo-reflect sa imong sa imong body kay ikaw man ang gipicturean. So mao jud to imong mao to siya ang but pasabot sa ghost guys. Tos napoy ka ng kuan, mag-capture ka na paspas kay mudagan, picturean na nimo, tapos naaman jud ay pag picture nimo kay naman jud ay kanang mura siya kanang ghost good gyapon na maimong makapture. Mao tong sample sa ghost guys.
So, good evening. I am Clarence Romero and reporting other lens defects. So, these are the other lens defects. Light loss. Whenever light ray strikes the surface of any lens or prism, a certain amount of light is lost by reflection. In addition, light is absorbed by every element it travels through or strikes. So, sa example dira sa among PPT is naay dark room and then naay source of light and then nakalinya ang tulo ka baso. So, majority sa light na makuha atong pinakauna nga baso. And then, small amount of light na lang ang makuha sa ikaduhang baso. And then, sa third nga baso, medyo di siya may nga dark, pero igo na lang dyan siya ni maklaro. Kanang gamay na lang dyan kayo nga na light source ang makuha sa ikatulong nga baso. So, next is air bubbles in lenses. Optical glass usually contains small air bubbles, which form during the heating process in production. So, ang lens na ay mga bubbles siyempre kay samin man ang lens. Kabantay man ang baso nga samin na napuna siya mga small amount of bubbles dara. Na nag-form na siya sa heating process. Ano siya ginatawag nga air bubbles. And the next one is Newton's ring. When positive and negative lenses of slightly unequal curvature are pressed together, irregular and dark bands or patches of color appear between the surface. This condition is a defect commonly found in compound lenses. So, kani siya nga defects sa lens kay pag ang positive o ang negative lenses of slightly unequal curvature kay ma-press together, makabuo na siya og dark bands na makita naman sa picture, and then kana siya kay makita na siya sa commonly found na siya sa compound lenses. Kabantay man ang mag-picture mo ba? Tapos makabantay man ang murag galingin-ningin nga murag siya galaxy sa inyong picture. Muna siya ang kuan kanang Newton's ring. So, mo lang tong report and thank you.